Okay, hello. Uh, this video is about a project to stimulate debate in English, of course, or in Aramaic. No, it was in English. So it was divided in three parts. The first one, we read some articles related to the topic. The topic was about gun control. So worked on vocabulary, also uh, different gun control policies in different countries, etc. After that, we made a debate, but take you into account only Brazil. Okay, so we talk only Brazilian scenario, and everybody pointed out their own opinion, but most of them are pro gun control. So it was kind of hard to really have a debate since everybody, thinks pretty much the same. So the second part, I'm sorry, the third part is about the students asking questions to people around the world, and then they would reply those questions, and the debate would be possible with people that would present a different point of view, of course. Hello, yes. So, and then that's the video about. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hello guys, how are you? My name is Estelle. I would like to talk with you about guns control. Every citizen has the right to self-defense of the family, home and property, but it is a misconception to think that a weapon is of great help at these times. Weapons in the home often turn against their own family, much more than it served to their defense. Weapons empower violence. Have a weapon can transform any good person into a potential criminal. Banal conflicts end in tragedies. Many are death cases added to firearms access, such as domestic discussion, arguments in the traffic, among neighbors conflict, some kind of revenge, or in a moment of psychotic outbreak, not taking into account that to have a gun is an incentive to suicide. Many people who have guns at home may not have psychological ability or even have any training to handle the gun. My question is, what is your opinion? Rigorous control access of guns by the population can reduce early deaths in the worldwide.
A person with a gun in the hand becomes dangerous. The index of murder and massacre increased in some countries. In October 14, 2017, in the Goiânia City, Brazil, a 14 years old young boy that studied in the fundamental school shot in our classmates. Two young died and four were injured. Reason of massacre, bullying. The gun was his mother's, who was a police officer. Some Brazilian congressmen went to vote a law to the population can carry gun to defend from thieves. My questions are, what is your opinion about this law? Are you favor or against carrying guns? Why?
Hello, my name is Felipe. I'm 26 years old. And are you pro or con gun control? If you are con, why do you want to have a gun? What's the reason? If it's about security, do you think carry a gun will solve the problem of the security problem in your country, or it is just to feel safety?
I'd like to know about the what the relation between guns ownership and the United States being the first one prison population in the world.
Aldo, and I want to hear you about the guns control, and because it happened in Los Angeles, I read this week on the site here in Brazil about the guns control, and I have a statistic, and 32 murders out of 100,000 inhabitants here in Brazil, and in United States is 5 murders out of 100,000 inhabitants. If you compare these two statistics, there you have a less murder than here in Brazil, but there not have a guns control, and here in Brazil have a guns control. Only to information, I'm pro a guns control, but it's a question only for us discuss about that.
Hello, my name is Steven. Good evening. Do you think guns will solve the social problems?
Hello, my name is Josevani. My question is, what do you think about gun control? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eder. Good evening. I question is, what do you think would happen if a thief broke into a house where there is a armed person?
My name is Fab. My question is, do you think guns will protect the peoples?
Hello, my name is Mariana. I'm from Brazil. I am 29 years old. And what is your name and where do you from? In your country, is it possible any people buy a gun? The police officers, they have a gun? And do you agree with a gun system in your country, or you disagree? And why?
Hello everybody, my name is Liam and I'm from Ireland. Here in Ireland we have, in terms of gun control, guns are illegal. To get a gun, you must say be a farmer or someone who has property or who is in a gun club. So you must get a license from the police, or otherwise known as the guards here in Ireland. So no one can just get a gun. You have to prove certain things. Also, we do not have any explosives here. In other words, we can't even have fireworks. You cannot buy fireworks in a shop. The only way you can get a firework, you must be licensed. So it's only big, say, at a performance or a concert or something like that, you might see fireworks, or if there is a big occasion, there are certain companies who have got a license to buy fireworks and set them off. That is what we have here in Ireland.
Hello students. So you have a couple of questions. Ronaldo, I think what you are saying is that even though Brazil has gun control, there are still more murders than in the US. I guess like here, guns can be smuggled into the country illegally. That could account for the gun crime. And also maybe there is a higher percentage of criminals in Brazil. Do you think that is true? And the other question about large prison populations. I think in the US they have a large effective police force, and people are jailed for minor offences like possession of marijuana or a small fight with someone. You might hardly injure the person, you might just punch them once and a minor scuffle, you know, like people often have, and the people would be jailed for that, for assault. So I think that's the reason. They jail people for quite minor things.
Hi Estevan. I don't believe guns solve any problems. They cause misery and death. Who needs guns? Nobody. And as for armies with weapons, well, war is definitely a very last resort. I hope your day is terrific. Bye. Giovanni, I believe in very strict gun controls and heavy penalties for anyone found with an unlicensed weapon. Fabio, I believe statistics show that it is more dangerous to own a weapon than not to own a weapon in your house. Because if an intruder enters your house with a weapon, he is much more likely to shoot you if you try to shoot him. Whereas if you're unarmed, he might just steal your valuables and then leave the premises. Hi Ada. You're asking what would happen if a homeowner shot an intruder. Well, it would depend if the homeowner was licensed to own a weapon. If so, he might be okay. But he would have to prove that his life was in danger before he used his weapon. If a homeowner was not a licensed gun holder, he would be charged with murder or whatever. So there you go. Very unwise to have a weapon in your house, because usually you're in more danger from the intruder, because he will probably be better at shooting you than you shooting him.
Thank you for your video questions. You all seem to be asking about the same topics, guns and gun control. So I'm replying to you all in one message. I hope this is okay. I live in Scotland. Scotland has had gun and weapon control in some form for over 200 years. It's very difficult to buy guns. Sales are restricted to farmers, gamekeepers, sports people who must belong to registered clubs. All weapons must be registered with the police, available for inspection at all times, and all gun owners must have a license for themselves. The legislation covers all firearms, including what we call air guns. You maybe call them BB guns. And there is a total ban on automatic weapons. The result is a very low gun crime rate. Last year there were 34 gun-related deaths in Scotland, down from 37 the previous year. in a population of 5.5 million. But this is not just down to gun control, it's to do with society. The general public in Scotland, for the last few centuries, have never felt the need to defend themselves from their fellow citizens the way they do in the US, for example. That is the job of the police. In normal circumstances, the police aren't armed in Scotland, so the criminals aren't armed, so nobody really thinks about guns. They aren't part of our way of life. That doesn't mean there isn't any gun crime, but anyone carrying a gun during a crime faces life in prison. And there have been mass shootings in Scotland, but the last one was 20 years ago in Dunblane School. And following that, the gun legislation was tightened up even more. So gun control alone won't stop killings, like Vegas. Guns don't kill, it's people using guns who kill. It needs legislation, enforcement, education, a total change in society's attitudes to stop the killing.
My name is Claudia, and I'm going to be sending short messages because if the video gets too heavy, I cannot send it. Well, in relation to gun possession, I can say that I strongly discourage that, because I don't think it's a solution for anything. In Argentina, there is a lot of control in relation to that. There are regulations that are strictly followed, and it's not common to have a gun at home. There are exceptions, of course. There are some people that have guns, but they have to prove that they qualify and they really need to have a gun. Like, for example, people that live in the countryside, far away from any police station or any other kind of protection, so they need to have their own protection. But in general, people don't have guns here in Argentina, and we are happy about that. Now I want to answer one of the questions that was my opinion related to gun regulations and people in jail. Well, I think that gun regulation is a good idea, and having regulations does not mean that that you will have more criminals, because that would be paradoxical. So when you say that in Brazil you have gun control and in any way you have more people in jail than in the United States, I think that that is not because you have gun control. It is because the regulations maybe are not really controlled enough. And so you need to search on what is happening in relation to that. So I think that if you have many people in jail, it has to do with social problems. It has to do with many people not having the basic needs satisfied. It has to do with an absent government or an absent state that does not provide, does not look after people's needs, but not because you have regulations related to the possession of arms. Okay, I'm going to close here and then go on. Well, to conclude, I want to say some things to make my position clear. Do I support the possession of guns? No, I don't. I don't think it's a good idea. Do I support strong regulations as regards the possession of guns? Yes, I do. The government should decide or design a good system of regulating who qualifies and who does not for the possession of guns. Then the question is the question as regards if there is a correlation between regulations and the high rate of people in the high number of people in prison. I don't think that the number of criminals in prison has to do with the absence of regulation. If in the United States there are fewer cases of murder with guns than in Brazil. It is because in Brazil the government doesn't control that the people don't buy guns in the black market, and the government doesn't control that the regulations are respected. So if we have to decide why there are people in jail, it is mainly because of the absence of regulations. I mean, the state is not checking that the law is respected. It is one thing I want to make clear is that it is false to think that there are no regulations in the United States. There are regulations, and it is very similar to what we have in Argentina and maybe what you have there in Brazil. The problem is that in the United States, the government doesn't check that the regulations are respected. And that the result of that is that many criminals can have access to guns, and many psychotic people may have access to guns. And not only that, but also common people that maybe are good citizens have guns at home. And I think that that is not a good idea either, because that can lead also to accidents, unwanted accidents. We have had many cases of those here in Argentina. So, well, I hope that I have helped you. I have helped you in any way, and I am happy to be able to contribute with your project. And if you have a future project, don't hesitate to ask me, because I will be happy to help. Congratulations to your teacher, because I think it's a very good thing to debate and analyze things related to our community, our life, the world. Okay, bye-bye from Argentina.
Hi, my name is Paula. I live in South Carolina. Hello, class. My views on gun control in America is that they should be heavily regulated. I think they should have more stringent background checks and a lot of classes to even own a gun, like they do in Japan. It's too easy for anyone to get here. And with the mix of a lot of medications here that people take, I think owning a gun is probably not the best choice. I do not have one. I fired one once at a shooting range. A little intimidating for my taste. I think we need to get stricter laws on guns. But now, unfortunately, there's so many guns out there, it's hard to regulate them now. The bell has been rung, as they say. When you can't unring the bell, means little too late, unfortunately. And that's what I feel about gun control. Stricter laws, and there's no need for the automatic rifles in anyone's hands. They got way too many gun shows here. Anyone can buy a gun. And I think we need to stop that somehow. And that's my views. Thank you.
Hello, it's Paula again. Trying to see if I can get this done in a more relaxed manner. In regarding to like gun control. Stephen, I don't think guns would solve any social problems. I think they're part of them. I know guns are supposed to protect the home and protect from bad people with the police. But here it seems lately we've even had the police gone bad as well. With the statistics with gun violence here versus Brazil, I'm curious to know if there's been any mass shootings there. Once we have shootings here, they're usually mass shootings, like 20 at a time or so. Has Brazil ever had mass shootings like Las Vegas Columbine massacre here. Any school shootings? You don't hear anything about that there. I know here it's pretty bad on occasion. I know guns should protect people. Majority of the police do a good job, but inside the home, I really do still feel strongly that we should follow Japan's way of doing it with guns. But that's just what my thoughts. But now I'm curious to know about mass shootings. Oh, I'm sorry, if there's any like mass shootings down there, do they get reported as often as it does here in the media? I've only fired a gun once. I didn't feel comfortable. So I definitely can see why a lot of psychological testings, background testing should be done for it. Let's see. And I think I will stop here for the moment and then see if this video has sound.
Hello, my name is Paula. I'm 49 years old. I live in the state of South Carolina, a town called Summerville. And my views on guns, well, first of all, it's pretty easy to buy a gun here. You can go to what they call a pawn shop or a gun show. Rules are changing all the time on guns. I think there should be more stricter laws on them because anyone with mental problems or alcohol problems can buy one. We have a lot of mass shootings here, but those are with the bigger guns like the AK-47s, AR-15s. I feel the police should only be the ones who have those guns. That's my thoughts on it. I've seen too many problems with guns and people without any background training. I feel there should be more stronger training on owning a gun. And myself, I've never had one, don't want one. That's my thoughts on that. Bye. Hello, Philippe. This is Paula. Answer your questions. I am more pro-gun control. I feel there should be more stricter regulations on them for how, if you want to possess one. A lot of people think they're more secure, protect them in their home, but it can easily be turned against them. I feel there could be other ways of self-defense. I know for the bigger guns, the ones that are automatic AK-47 types should be banned, unless you're police and military. Seems to me the guns are getting out of control in this country. They're supposed to protect, but it doesn't seem like it's going in the right direction. I think they need to get stricter laws in. That's my thoughts on it.
Hey, Felipe, this is John. Hey, I appreciate your question. I am against gun control because, well, for many reasons. One is it is an issue of safety and being able to protect myself against other people who are armed who might want to hurt me or my family. But here in the United States, we have the guns are protected under the Constitution for people of this country to own. That doesn't stop states and municipalities from enacting gun control, but those are the places where the gun violence is and crime in general are higher. So places that are not under gun control typically are safer because people are armed and are able to defend themselves. Ran out of time there. People who are armed are better prepared to protect themselves. And it's what I always tell people, it keeps everyone honest. If the bad guys know that the good guys have guns, they don't typically want to pick a fight because they know that they're going to get shot. So I wish that we didn't have to have guns, but if the government is the only one who has guns, then they can control the people because they have the guns. be anti-gun control. Hey, Stephen, it's John. Hey, Stephen, it's John. You wanted to know if I think guns will solve social problems. You know, I don't know. I think that if everybody knows that everyone else is armed, at least from a standpoint of wanting to cause trouble, they are less likely to want to do that. I think that guns, if everyone has guns, everybody is more respectful of each other, and we can protect ourselves that way. It's always better for the people to have the guns instead of the government. Just think of the Jews in Israel or in Germany. I hope that answered your question. Hey, Jamil, this is John. Yeah, we do have a lot of people in prisons, but as far as gun owners, typically I think most of your gun owners here are not the ones who are going to end up in prison. They tend to be the ones who are they're either hunters or they're using their guns for protection, and are less likely to commit crimes to be put in prison. We have a problem with people just not behaving and following the law. That's why we have so many people in prison. Yeah, I know that adding to that, that doesn't mean that there aren't gun owners, honest gun owners, who don't end up breaking the law in some way and ending up in prison. But if you own a gun, you're either going to be law-abiding or you're going to be a lawbreaker. And it just seems that so many of the people who are in prison, who have used guns, have used them to kill people or in other crimes. I hope that answers your question. Hey, Ronaldo, this is John. Hey, I liked your question. First of all, I want to point out that we have a media here in the United States that seems to do nothing but lie and distort the truth. But Los Angeles and Chicago, New York, places like that, they have gun control there, but they lead the nation in gun crimes and murders and rapes and all the other crimes. Those are happening more in the places where we have gun control in this country. Guns tend to keep crime away. It is what I'm telling everyone, that if everyone has a gun, then you're going to not have the crime rates that you have. It's only when people don't have guns is when they are victimized, whether it's from a thug or whether it's from the government. So I'm always going to be anti-gun control from the simple standpoint, if the government has the guns, then they have control. Whoever has the guns has control, and I want to be free. So but anyway, like I said, the states and the cities in this country that have gun control have the highest crime rates. Hey, Fabio, this is John. I think what I think you said was, do machine guns protect people? And I hope I got that right. You know what? Any kind of gun will protect people. I've always felt like whoever has the guns is going to control things, whether it's an individual or the government. So machine guns, whether or not we really need them, I guess that would depend on who we are fighting. If you have a mob attacking you, a machine gun probably is better than a 22 pistol. So I think, at least here in the United States, regardless of the gun, they should all be protected. So we have the rights to own them. Hey, Joe Savani, this is John. I liked your question. What do I think of gun control? Here in the United States, constitutionally, we have the right, citizens have the right to own guns. And the saying always has been, that people who are armed are going to remain free because they have they have the ability to fight the government if the government turns on them or if individuals turn on them. So, gun control does nothing. It makes people victims. Just look at the cities like Chicago and New York and other places here in the United States that have gun control. They have the highest crime rates. So I don't know exactly where you are and how crime is there, but a freer society, an armed society, I should say, is a free. So I hope that answers your question. Hey, Eder, that's a great question. If a thief breaks into a house where there is an armed person, the armed person has the right, at least here in the United States, to shoot the person, do whatever it takes to stop the person from victimizing them. So, I think if the thief knows that there is a 50-50 chance that person on the other side of the door is armed, that thief will have some tough thinking to do of whether or not they want to kick the door in. I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Hey, Juarez, this is John. I liked your question. If I understand correctly, the Congress there voted that citizens could carry guns for protection. If I got that right, then I am in favor of that. If everyone is armed, you're less likely to have someone commit crime because they know as soon as they do, they're going to get shot. It tends to make people honest. Yeah, you're going to have some that will use their gun to cause trouble, but they don't typically live very long because the majority will shoot back. So, the other thing, I know up here in the States we have a problem with the media being honest about what really is going on. So that's something that also has. But I'm not pro-gun control. I don't see where gun control really helps. It just keeps honest people from being able to defend themselves. And also, an armed society is a safer society from the thugs and from the government if the government decides to turn on them. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, I know when those, crimes like that happen, it really is an eye-opener. We have them happen here all the time, and you probably are aware of that. So you take care. Hey, Kitty. I try. If any of these that I've done Hello, Estella. Hey, I liked your question. I'll respond this way. Odds are that weapons in the home will help the homeowner. I know it's happened here in the States where somebody would kick a door in and someone inside the home was a gun owner and they were able to save the family. So guns can prevent crime from happening before it ever happens. I always like to say that if everyone was armed, we would have less crime because everybody would know that everybody else was armed, and they better not they better not pull a gun, otherwise they'll be dead. Stella, something else I thought of, owning a gun is a responsibility, and I don't know what your news tells you about here in the States, but I can tell you one thing, the media here lies through their teeth. They don't tell the truth, and they do everything they can do to make something good look bad. So, but rest assured one thing, the states and the cities that have the highest crime are those that have gun control. Gun control doesn't work. It just gives the government power to own you. Just think of the Jews in Germany. Had they had guns, would they have been murdered the way they were? So it's the same in other parts of the world, but, you have to be responsible when you have a gun. Hey, I like the doggy, by the way, in great accent.